Connection problems tonight, man. So just bear with us. Spring practice for all of us, man. We're getting geared up for the summer, fall. Joined by Benton Birds like always, man. Glad to have Brooks Carter here with us. Um, he'll be with us a lot this fall. Covers Cahulla Creek. Great historian of high school football. Ben.
Man, springtime. We get to watch a little football, some pads popping, try to catch as many spring games as possible. Um, get as much football as we can before it's gone again until the fall.
Absolutely, man. It's like a little teaser. Brooks, how's it going?
Not too bad. I'm excited to. This is my first show with Northwest Georgia football, so excited about that, and excited to get stuff cranked up for spring ball. I know some people started today, yesterday, some start tomorrow, so a lot of guys lacing up the cleats and putting on the pads for the first time since November.
Yeah, if you guys want to comment live on.
I think he was going to say if you want to comment live on the air, you do it.
Did we lose him?
I think you did. Yeah, I think we did. I think we dropped him completely out.
Yeah, and then our echo went away too.
Yeah, our echo went away when Lawrence showed up. Or no, it went away when Lawrence left. You're back?
I'm back. Echo back?
Yeah, the echo is back. I don't know why.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to jump off here, man, try to figure this out. I'll let you and Brooks take it from here.
All right. Anyway, I think what he was going to say was if you want to comment, talk about any of your teams, players, whatever, you can do it on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube. We're on all the sites. We're just going to go through some of the spring games that we want to talk about, and a few things this year that's going to be happening. Something new that I'm going to do. We're going to have a changing intro every week. So after the season starts, we'll have a Northwest Georgia Football Scoreboard Show intro. It'll have about 3 different highlights. Tag us in your highlights at either at B Birds or at Northwest Georgia Football. And we're going to select 3 each week. And they will be the intro show for the next week. So we want to put you in our show. So I'll give you an example of what the intro show is going to look like. And so if you want to be in, that's some footage that Lawrence shot last year. If you want to be focused on here on one of the intros, then send us or tag us in your highlights or your whatever, pictures, videos. We'll put whatever on here. I'm going to go ahead and throw the banner up with all the spring games at the bottom.
And I'm still here, Ben. I was just letting y'all know.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm just kind of freelancing since Lawrence is having connection issues. Any games that you're going to be able to attend, or you plan to attend?
I'll definitely be at Cahulla Creek since I'm their director of media. So they play at Gordon Lee. It's a team they've had on their schedule the last 2 years in Region 6 3A. Gordon Lee's dropping back down to single A. Coholus down in 2A for the first time ever. So a couple teams that are familiar with each other. They split the last 2 years. That was a really entertaining game last year over in Chickamauga. Gordon Lee won by 1 point. So, and they've got a lot of young talent. And Coholus got a lot of young, kind of unpolished talent. So, but Gordon Lee's got a lot of young talent that started last year. So I think it should be pretty entertaining. And I'll be up and down the sidelines kind of shooting video and doing all my stuff that I do for them. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw the Gordon Lee team last year once, and I saw them 2 years ago in the spring against Chattooga, and maybe that was last year in the spring against Chattooga. But much improved team. They were young then. They're going to be obviously a year older, and I think that ought to be a heck of a scrimmage there. A good test for both teams. Let's see, May the 10th. I'm
Yeah,
looking. Go ahead.
I was going to add to that was that I know Lawrence is really high on Peyton Gross. That kid is a baller. He can run. He plays well on defense. That's somebody who's going to be one to watch out for down in that single A region this year that Gordon Lee's in, which is going to be an extremely competitive region. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point over the summer as we kind of start breaking down these regions a little more.
Yeah, I agree with you. Peyton Gross is one of those names that kind of jumps off in that particular region there. I've got let's see, I've got them. That's the 17th, correct? Cahola
Correct. There's a
Creek.
bunch on that day, so I guess we can start in chronological order if you want. I know you were talking about the 10th.
Oh, that's fine. No, the 10th, I have plans on being at Plainview. I'm going to go check out Plainview, Alabama. I'm going to go see them in Dade County. Go see Coach Poston's Dade County team. And, they lost a lot off of last year's team. Interested to see what he's got coming back. Let's see any new kids that he pulls up. He always seems to find somebody to make a very physical, hard-nosed team, and that's what he's going to put out there. And I have no reason to believe that he's not going to do that again. As far as Dade goes, man, he's been breaking records left and right. I think he's had, their first home playoff game and then a streak with multiple home playoff games in a row. So he's been keeping that Dade program going in the right direction. And like I said before, I don't have any reason to believe that they won't continue that. So I'll go over to Rainsville and check them out. I think Coach Pruitt's over in that area somewhere. So that ought to be an interesting matchup.
I don't know if he's coaching football though. I think he's like coaching like basketball or baseball or something.
Yeah, he'll probably be there though. He's a football guy.
Oh, I mean, 100% a football guy. But I think after he got that show cause, I think he's kind of stayed out of the public eye a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you there. And then let's see, any other games? I think the Christian Heritage North Murray will be an interesting game. Obviously, I can only be at one. I think Lawrence was trying to nail down maybe the North Cobb Christian game, one of those games to go to. I will be on the 17th. I will be at Southeast as Chattooga travels to Southeast. I do the I assist on the radio and TV call for the Indians. So me and Paul Cavan will be doing that again this year. I'm excited about that. I finished up the year last year, the last two games. Had a blast with Paul, and hopefully they'll have me back.
Yeah, the North Murray Christian Heritage game is interesting to me. I almost wonder if this was on the books maybe a couple of years ago. This would have been – we're just like a year removed from this being the Pogue Bowl. Jay Pogue and Preston Pogue were both brothers and head coaches at both respected programs. But now this is pretty interesting. I was trying to figure out who the active wins leader was in our Northwest Georgia coverage map of current – of active head coaches, and Frank Bearden, the head coach for Christian Heritage, formerly at Cartersville for the bulk of the 90s and the 2000s. Yeah, he's the active wins leader. So Christian Heritage has the active wins leader among active head coaches in the Northwest Georgia area.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have another guy on that list high up there with a bunch of wins as your athletic director, or he was. I'm not sure if he's still there or not, but Coach Hal Lamb.
Hal Lamb's actually back at Calhoun.
Oh, there you go. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, they announced that in the offseason. I think he's back in some sort of administrative role. It may be the director of athletics. Yeah, I think. I don't know. Maybe Calhoun had missed the playoffs for the first time since '99, and they wanted to bring the guy who helped build that dynasty back in to help keep things afloat. I don't know.
Yeah. Lawrence said he's looking forward to seeing the report from that Gordon Lee Cahulla game. He thinks that's going to be a real good one.
I'm optimistic about Cahulla this year. I mean, I think there's a lot of unknowns. We got a new starting quarterback, but they've got 4 starters on the offensive line coming back. So when you're breaking in a new starting quarterback, that's a big deal to have 4 of your 5 starters back on your offensive line, and they've got a 5th guy that actually started the last 3 games of the year.
Not sure the guy's name. I'll have to look him up, but Lawrence says that Gordon Lee has a rising sophomore that was offered by Kentucky today.
If it was the receiver, I think his name's Braden Stoker. He caught a long touchdown pass down the sideline last year in the game that I was at. And, when I looked at the roster and saw he was a freshman, I was astounded. I was like, my gosh, he looks like a junior or senior, and he played like one. So, yeah, they got it's crazy how good the football is in kind of a very concentrated area of a bunch of single A schools between Tryon, Gordon Lee, Dade County, Chattooga, all kind of in that area over there. There's a lot of good football coming out of there right now.
Yeah, Stoker, I just pulled up their roster, and I was thinking, I remember seeing the number 2, and that's exactly who it is. Yeah, another comment coming in. Curious to see who North Murray has a quarterback after losing Skylar Williams. I think he entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, he's at Warner Robins now.
Yeah.
He was
wow.
He was actually originally, I believe, at Calhoun before transferring to North Murray. So that guy's actually moved around quite a bit. But I'll be interested to see that too. They've usually gotten quarterback right over there. Preston Pogue has, so I wouldn't be overly concerned. I feel like they've been productive at that position, no matter who's been there. I think it's more of a system thing with the way Coach Pogue runs it over there. I think whoever he plugs in will be productive.
Yeah, I was gonna look and see if they had any experience coming back behind Williams. I don't think so.
I'll tell you, a spring game I'm super interested in is Dalton and Tryon. I think that's you got a defending region champion Tryon team that won 11 games last year before getting beat out by Elbert County in the second round, and then got a Dalton team who's actually replacing a starting quarterback as well. As of last week, I guess his dad took the offensive coordinator job at Adairsville, so they picked up a rising senior who was an all-region player up in all-region caliber player, I should say. I think
what a treat.
It was hard to be all-region in that region that Dalton was in last year with Hiram and Calhoun and Cartersville. So
you almost had to be a 5-star talent to be an all-region player because there was some talent in that region.
Oh, I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, I think if the power ranking system was in place last year, I think they would have had 5 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, at least, yeah. We talked about 5, 6 teams playing for 4 spots. The power ranking system is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be difficult to keep up with. I got a feeling, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. Now, the only classification, if I'm correct, excluded is the smallest. Correct?
From the power rankings,
Yes.
uh, I would honestly have to brief myself on it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think um, I know.
I think the D2 is excluded because they don't have any. They don't have any private schools in any of those regions. So I think everybody else.
There's so many changes this year. It's honestly been hard to kind of keep up with it at times. You've got this power ranking thing in now. You've got the private school
Regions.
separation from single A through 3A, which is weird. But no, I wanted to go back to the Dalton Trine game.
Go
I
ahead.
think I'm really interested to see. I think Trine kind of got maybe. I think people looked at what Toby Maddox did last year and saw how incredible he was, but I feel like they've got a decent amount coming back and will be pretty competitive again.
Yeah, quarterback coming back, big tight end. They lose a few on the offensive line. I think they'll be skilled enough to definitely to make a run at the region. Um, winning that region down there is going to be like, I mean, it's going to be difficult because you have the two teams that were quote unquote or will be quote unquote above them going into the season played for the state championship last year in Manchester and Bowden. So that's just going to be kind of murderer's row in that region. And at least you don't have to play them in the playoffs immediately. At least you'll get a few rounds before you have to see them in the playoffs if you're lucky enough to make the playoffs. But I think that's a big jump at the size school that Trine is going to Dalton to show that they're not scared of a little competition because that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rockmart had Dalton on their schedule the last 2 years. They've got Cartersville on their schedule this year, and maybe that's kind of a similar model. I mean, I know Rockmart's 2A, but they're still a small program, relatively speaking, compared to the Daltons and the Cartersvilles of the world. So maybe that's kind of a model that they're taking up there, trying that. We've kind of taken that step to get to the second, third round, but I'm sure they'd love to be in a similar situation to what Rockmart's been in the last few years, where they're knocking on the door of the state championship. So.
Yeah, here's a good note. Riviera Tribe says Hudson Hewlett will most likely be North Murray's quarterback. I have heard that name before.
I have to imagine he was probably the starter on JV last year, unless they're moving over a guy to the quarterback position from like a receiver spot or something like they've did.
Yeah, unless they got another McConkey.
Yeah, unless they got a situation like Mr. Los Angeles Charger lad McConkey.
Oh man, yeah, that's unbelievable. And yeah, you're right. Wide receiver last year.
Okay, so yeah, I mean like I said, Coach Pogue's done that in the past, and that's the name of the game in high school, right? I mean, you got to get your best playmaker. Why not put him at quarterback? Get the ball in his hands every play, and if he's efficient enough throwing the football, then that's what you do.
Yeah, I recognize that name too. Also, Miss Thomason, Braden Thomason, Murray County Indians, his senior year. I think I've seen Murray the last 2 years. I'm trying to think if they'll be. I don't know if they'll be on the schedule this year, but but I'm sure I'll see film on them, and we'll have to keep an eye out for Braden Thomason.
Yeah, they're both of the Murray County schools I'll see in person this year in that
Cool.
7-2A region. So excited to get. I mean, Gola's played Murray County every single year since they've been playing varsity football. They've maintained that rivalry even through the non-region. So I love going over to Chatsworth. I love what Murray County's done with their stadium. They've flipped their press box from the home or from the away to the home side. Within the last 5 years, it's arguably one of the nicest press boxes that I've seen in any Northwest Georgia area. And then you can see the Appalachian Mountains from over there. It's a great setup over there. You don't have a track in between the field. You're right on top of the action.
Right on top of it.
I'm a huge fan of that. Yeah, I'm excited to get to go back to Chatsworth this year and call a football game there. But one that I was looking at that is interesting to me. Speaking of Murray, is I think they play Ridgeland in their not in their spring game, and we've got a couple of teams with Ridgeland and Gordon Central that are, I think, have two of the longer losing streaks in the state of Georgia right now, and kind of doing some history and research and stuff about with some of the graphics and stuff I put out. Ridgeland's still not that far removed from being a consistent region championship team.
Yeah.
And it's just so bizarre what's happened up there. They've got enough talent. They've got enough size. They got to break through this year.
Yeah, I thought they had an opportunity last year. They were pretty impressive against Chattooga in the spring game, and thought they had a good opportunity, or in the fall game actually. And I thought they had a good opportunity to get a couple wins. And me and Lawrence kept picking them, and they were really close in a few games, and they just couldn't get the job done. But I think they're going in the right direction. I look forward to them. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I'd give them a puncher's chance at a game or two this year.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting region there, and it's either 6-3A or 7-3A, but you got Calhoun dropping all the way down from 5A to 3A, and you've got Northwest Whitfield, Adairsville, I think Ridgeland, and I'm trying to think of who else is in that region. Heritage is in that region, so got a couple of consistent playoff
Gilmer jumping in that region as well.
And Gilmer was actually surprisingly good last year. I mean, they smacked around Ringgold in a regular season game, which I think opened some eyes, and then they upset Adairsville in the first round of the playoffs.
You got Gavin Knuckles, and he'll be back at Northwest too, throwing the ball around. They're in that region as well.
Yeah, I mentioned Northwest Whitfield. I think that's super. I think there's going to be so many competitive regions because you're shrinking 7 classifications down to 6, or I guess realistically you're shrinking 8 classifications down to 7. But with the getting rid of 7A, like you can kind of start looking at it, and I feel like 7-2A, the region I was just talking about. You got 5 playoff teams from last year, and in one region, and then with Kahala, they actually tied for a playoff spot. They just lost on a tiebreaker. But you got 5 playoff teams with Rockmart, North Murray, Union County, North Cobb Christian, Ringgold, and then, as I mentioned, Kahala tied for a playoff spot but lost on a tiebreaker. So, in essence, you got 6 playoff teams in one region, kind of similar in 3A, and then that 4A region is going to be unbelievable because it's
man. Yeah, that's gonna be a heck of a region with Hiram, Dalton, Cedartown, Cass, Cartersville. Yeah,
I mean it's some murder's row right there.
and this Cass squad, man, looking at what they're returning, man, they've got some returning players. I know they'll lose Scobie White, but McQuarter coming back, Bear and Brody, Chase Tatum at tight end, Ellis coming back. They're all going to be big time players. A few at the next level.
Well,
Lawrence was going to point out the Temple versus Villarica. He thinks that's going to be an interesting matchup. A few kids that are next level kids going to be on the field that day. You know, Temple has a few backs that have been garnering some attention and getting a bunch of offers here in the offseason I've seen come across Twitter. And Temple's a team that I've seen as well. And, man, they run that offense well. When it's going good, it's popping. I love seeing the, a version of the wing T. You know, it's fun when it's going good. That's what I ran back in high school, and it's just kind of like going back when you see somebody running that. You don't see it a whole lot anymore.
Well, Benton, I've enjoyed my first show. I gotta hop off here as I gotta get inside and take care of the kids here. But I'll be back throughout the season.
Oh yeah, we're going to cut this one probably short anyway. I'll talk about all the games, or I'll call them off when you hop off here. But I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Like we said before, Lawrence was on here earlier. He's had some internet connection issues. You know, we'll get all that ironed out. I got the game scrolling across the bottom if you're interested in all the preseason games. We'll read them off, and if you've got any games that we don't have here in the Northwest Georgia area, or any games at all, just let us know and we'll call them out. If you got any shout outs or anything like that, I'll stay on for the next few minutes. May 10th, you got Christian Heritage at North Murray, Woodland at North Cobb Christian. The one I'll be at, Dade County at Plainview, Alabama. East Forsyth is at Lumpkin County, and Calhoun will have their annual inter squad game. May 15th, Ridgeland will be at Murray County. That will be interesting. May 16th, Temple at Villarica. And the 17th, a slew of games. One that I'll be at, Chattooga at Southeast Whitfield. Kahula Creek at Gordon Lee. My co-host there, my co-partner will be there. Trine at Dalton. I'm pretty sure Lawrence is going to want to get there. Chapel Hill at South Paulding. East Paulding at Walton. Newton and Shiloh. Paulding County at North Paulding. And then Central closes it out on that day at 4:30 with an inter squad. Like I said, we'll be taking highlights from each week and putting it into our intro. If you didn't see it earlier, I'll show you another little snippet of it. It's going to look something like this. Tag your player, or if you're a player, tag yourself or tag your videos at Northwest Georgia Football, and we'll get them integrated into our preview show intro for the next week. Like I said again earlier, Lawrence had some connection issues. He had to jump off. We'll be back probably sometime next week. We'll talk about some more of the games. If not the following week, we'll talk about the May 10th matchups, the games that we'll go to. Always look us up on Twitter at @BBurge, at Northwest Georgia Football, also on YouTube and on Facebook. Until next time.